Hello, hi, and a warm welcome to the Samadhi Podcast, a series of short talks and guided meditations that help you become a happier, more peaceful, and positive person. Learn how to calm the mind, deeply relax, gain control of feelings and emotions, and let go of stress and anxiety. This week, I wanted to talk about something that we've all experienced at some point, and perhaps many of us experience on a regular basis. I think that even for those of us who are training our mind, it's one of those things that lingers around, and that is frustration. So we get frustrated by a lot of things, by ourselves, by our friends, family, colleagues, by technology, by work situations, all the daily trials and tribulations that come up. And they can be anything, like our colleague making the same mistake over and over again, or even like small things like our spoon falling into our soup and having to dig around for it. And so we sigh, we complain about people, we stew about what happened, and we go over why we're right and they're wrong. And it can be very difficult. Our mind becomes very rigid and very tight, and frustration can build up into anger or into us lashing out at someone or something. So what I'd like to talk about is, why does frustration happen? Where is it coming from? And naturally, from knowing its causes and its conditions and the ways in which it manifests itself, we can come to some conclusions about how to stop it, or at least lessen its hold on us and stop it from appearing in the first place. Frustration for an untrained mind is normal, but holding on to any frustration that we have is worse and can definitely be helped. In the first instance, frustration is just not helpful. If the situation is a challenge, then adding frustration on top just makes it worse. Feeling frustrated and tight causes issues in our relationships with others, and it stops us from dealing with the many challenges that life can throw at us in a rational, effective, and creative way. So why does frustration happen in the first place? Well, it comes from non-acceptance. It comes from expectations that we set and a grasping at our expectations. It comes from not wanting things to be a certain way, or not wanting other people to do or say a certain thing, or not wanting ourselves to be a certain way. So frustration is a very obvious case of attachment, in Sanskrit upadana, and it's an attachment to things being right or correct or one way and not the other. So it's an aversion and a complete rejection of how things actually are presenting themselves to us. And then from this rejection, we tell ourselves, oh, he's always like this. He shouldn't do that. He should do this. And he knows what he's doing. He does this all the time. He's so irritating. And we listen to this running commentary all day long that it should be this way and not that way, and we get caught up in it. And then we dwell on it and we perpetuate this frustration. From the Buddhist perspective, this attachment, upadana, aversion, like all of our mental afflictions, are rooted in avidya. Avidya refers to ignorance or misconceptions about the nature of reality. And in this context, we have an incorrect view and expectation of how things are supposed to work. We set an expectation on the world, on other people, as turning out one way, and of course they don't. Okay, so we know that frustration and its very close cousin anger are not happy states of mind. But what can we do about it? Well, the Buddha offered a range of simple methods to calm ourselves and let go of our frustrations so that we're not so irritated and angry throughout the day, and methods that can help us transform our minds completely. The first and best way to combat our non-acceptance and our aversion to things being one way and not the other is acceptance and patience, the complete opposite. One thing that we can discover about our mind with a simple test is that it's actually impossible for us to hold two opposing emotions at the same time. So you can't be feeling very loving and patient and calm and all zen, and then at the same time be lashing out at someone completely furious. You've completely lost it. It just doesn't work. Those two things don't go together. It has to be one or the other. Now, the change between them, as we know, can be very quick, but these minds are not simultaneous. So then, in these situations where we become frustrated and where it would be so easy to stomp our feet and shout, we need to find the strength to stay calm, to accept the situation and accept it as being the way that it is, out of our control and exactly as it is. Because frustration has never solved anything. It has only made us suffer more. But acceptance and patience are much more beneficial and healthy to have. And they're a more rational response to these situations that we can't control as well. So how do we do that in the midst of frustration? Well, we could try breathing deeply as a direct antidote to the short, sharp breaths that we take when we're angry. So as you notice that tension arise in your body, take a moment, press pause, and start counting. You can count 1 to 10, or count slowly to 100. Do some breathing exercise to prevent yourself from saying or doing something that you'll regret later on. If we are in direct confrontation, we might just want to remove ourselves from that situation before it all gets worse. Each situation is different, whether you have that opportunity or not, but generally in this moment when we have frustration building up, we need to pause. We need time to detach, analyze the situation, and point at frustration and say, hey, you have no business being here. And when we do that, we can accept the situation wholeheartedly as being just the way it is. And then we can return to it with a more calm, patient, and creative mind, which is much better equipped to handle this situation effectively. And so, analyzing the situation, I would say, is our next antidote to frustration. So we're becoming frustrated because we are not accepting the situation as being the way it is. Okay, so we need to accept it as the way it is. But why are we holding on to our desire for it to be different so tightly in the first place? When you take that moment to pause and breathe and analyze the situation, first notice how the frustration feels in your body. And then start to notice the story that you're telling yourself. What are you telling yourself is wrong with the current situation? What are you saying the other person should or shouldn't do? How are you characterizing the other person or the situation? And when you have a clear answer to those questions, ask yourself, is this reasoning, is this story helping me? Is it actually true? Is it making the situation better or worse? Is it helping your relationship with the other person? Is it making you happy? And if it's not helpful and it's not resulting in your happiness, then maybe you, in that situation, are creating your own unhappiness in your own mind. And actually, it's not, your perception is not true to reality. So instead, you can start to see this frustrating situation as a lesson in mindfulness, in letting go, in acceptance, and in finding happiness no matter how people act, no matter what situation you're in. In this way, it's a lesson in finding freedom. If we open up to it, every moment has a lesson. So now, with a bit of analysis, maybe you can start to let go of rigid thinking. You want things to go your way, and you want people to behave the way you want them to, but you can't control the universe. You aren't entitled to getting everything your way, and other people have the freedom to act imperfectly and behave the way they want to. And yes, we don't have to agree with them or love the way that they're acting, but insisting that things go our way, even just in our own mind, insisting that people act the way that we want them to, it doesn't work, and it only makes us frustrated. And so with that analysis, then that's it. Now we can see it from a more realistic perspective. We're able to loosen our grip on the way we want it to be, and we're able to accept it. And then we find emotional freedom in that. We find more calm, more peace, more happiness and joy. And as a bonus, we have more loving relationships, and we get through life so much easier. And people don't see us as this naggy person, always getting frustrated, but they see your kind, loving, and nurturing side. They see someone who accepts them for all of their flaws. And isn't that who we all want to be? As a final thought, I'd like to, of course, encourage you to meditate as an antidote to frustration. And not just meditating in that moment. Many people think that meditation is simply a 15 to 20 minute escape from real life. Like paracetamol for a headache, where we just get to spend some time away from our stresses and press the reset button. But meditation is so much more. It's preparation and mind training for real life. It's like boot camp. It's a training for real life. And it's no good if we spend some time in the morning meditating on compassion or patience, but as soon as we get to work, we start shouting at our colleagues and lashing out and getting frustrated by everyone and everything. Meditation, by its very definition, is a familiarization of our mind with positive thoughts, patience, love, compassion. And it's something that we can do anywhere, at any time. So if we spend only half an hour of our day listening to the radio or reading, the least we can do is perhaps spend 10 minutes of that time generating thoughts of loving kindness for others, of patience, of acceptance. Something that is effective at reducing frustration and anger and making us into that peaceful, positive, loving person that we want to be. I want to thank you for listening to this week's podcast. I really hope it's been useful for you. If you engage in the practice of the week, please do let me know how you get on. And if you have any questions, also, you can email us at info@samadhi.org.uk, or you can send us a message on Facebook or Instagram. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you again real soon.